Welcome to the Unstoppable Real Estate Agents Podcast. I'm your host and real estate productivity expert, Kim Hughes. Join me as we focus on real strategies and implement real solutions designed for you to achieve major success in your business and life while getting you organized. Hi, everybody. It's Kim Hughes, and I don't know if you know this, but we are celebrating a 1-year anniversary with our podcast. So we are so excited, and we have come such a long way with this podcast, and we have gotten the best feedback. We have just really been thrilled with the results that it's giving to our audience, which our audience is real estate agents or anybody that works in the real estate arena, okay? So you could be a mortgage broker, you could be an inspector, whatever that may be. I hope that you have enjoyed the podcast. We have enjoyed making it. It's been something that we have wanted to do for a long time, but we really never kind of figured out what would agents want. So we just dived in and just started talking about things that we do for our clients. And hopefully you can walk away from each podcast with something that you can implement or an idea that you can take action on. So what we thought we would do is for the month of September is kind of do a back to basics type podcast. We're going to break it down into 3 series. There's a lot of information that we want to, deliver to you. So that's why we thought, this is not just a one podcast thing. So I hope you'll stick around and listen because we're going to talk to you about how to use a virtual assistant in your business, what is a virtual assistant, and all the details that go with it. So a little bit about, how this all came about. So real estate virtual assistants started back around 1998, 1999, about the time the internet started developing into homes. And people, were still trying to figure out how to use the internet. Well, with my background in real estate as a real estate consultant to corporations, brokerages, and single agents, I was the person that they called, and I would go in and set up your company or set up your business for you so that it would run very smoothly. We put in the systems, we put in every little detail before what you would look at now, because this was a different model back then because we didn't have the internet. So everything was, paper trails, implementation. Everybody had certain reports they had to do and all those things. So if you've been around for a while before the internet, you kind of understand what that would look like in an office without, online storage and, all the MLSs being online and everything. So once the internet came about, some of my clients were still reaching out to me, wanting me to come back and, help them out, here and there. And this all went down in Dallas. I lived in Dallas for several years. And then we moved to where we are now, which is in, small little town in East Texas. And, I thought, okay, we have the internet. So now what do we do with it? So I said, I bet you we can figure something out. So I started kind of looking at how we could do things through email, through fax. And, that was great. And so that started working. And then I got involved with doing some research on what I did. And I was like, surely there's other people out there doing what I do. Well, there was nobody out there niching in real estate, but they were out there doing virtual assistants. And these were women, mostly, I think they were all women. There was 25 of us, I think, at the time. And we all came from corporate backgrounds, a college education. We were looking for ways to work from home when that was not even heard of, and be a mom and be a wife and be everything we wanted to be, but also have a career. And so once I found this group of women, I was just in awe. And so then I started thinking, the first person I ever worked for on a virtual basis was typing up the sermon notes for a pastor over in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And, at that time I was willing to do anything because I was still trying to figure out what can I do? What services do I offer? So as I got more into it, and talk to more of my older clients and my, people that I knew in the industry, that's how the term real estate virtual assistant came about. Because I sat there and went, okay, I'm going to be a virtual assistant, but I can also niche. And my niche is going to be real estate. So as we kind of got into that, I was a one-man show with 3 little kids. My husband worked a lot. He traveled, and he bless his heart, he took very good care of us, but, he just wasn't around a lot. So a lot of that responsibility of the home fell upon me as I'm trying to build a business. So I tell women, if you want it, you can have it. You just got to figure out how to do it. I'm an old school person. I wanted to be home with my children. I wanted to be, the woman that took care of the home, took care of the husband. That role kind of expanded because then we were taking care of my mother-in-law. So I was her primary caretaker during the day. And then we lived on a cattle ranch. So now I'm looking to make sure that nothing happens to the cattle while my husband is at work. And, making sure the kids were taken care of and all the things that went on with that. So for me to be able to start this business, I was very excited because I thought this is a way I can do everything I want to do. I had to be very organized with it, but I did it. So then I was introduced to a real estate agent by the name of Kathy Druin. She's out of Atlanta, Georgia, and she was my first real estate client. And then she introduced me to Alan Hange. And then from there, I met Michael Russer and Howard Britton. These were all the industry leaders of our time back then. And, Michael Russer was kind of the leader in setting the tone for the internet for real estate agents. He's passed away, so is Howard, and so is Alan. But these 3 people were very important to my business. They were my mentors. They were people that I looked up to. They were people that the industry looked up to because they had valuable information to share. And they weren't afraid to take a chance. They were just phenomenal men and as well as industry leaders. So if you don't know who these people are, do a little Google, learn about them because they really were the trailblazers to get real estate going on the MLS. So by knowing these people, they brought me in, they introduced me to their colleagues, to their, if they had like Star Power was Howard Britton, he introduced me to all these Star Power people. Alan introduced me to Cyberstars. I was his director of operations for like 4 years. And then Michael would do the NAR conferences and invite us to come and do speaking engagements, kind of piggybacking on him at the NAR conferences. So we got a lot of exposure. So, when you look at the bottom line, these 3 men were the trailblazers, but I was the trailblazer, the pioneer, whatever you want to call it, for real estate virtual assistants. So I kind of opened that door to help other women or men to develop a business that they could also work from home and, help real estate agents. But the difference is that I came to the table with a lot of experience. And so that kind of set me up because I knew what I was doing. And that kind of opened the door because when an agent would call me and they would tell me about the struggles that they were facing, I had a solution. Because I've already done this. I know what to do. I just have to learn that person's personality to make sure that I can meet what his expectations were. Okay. So, so let's kind of just talk about what is a real estate virtual assistant. Okay. So you've heard the term virtual assistants and then you hear real estate. Okay. So these are people that work from home. Most likely, I'm not going to say every single one of them, but the majority. And they work with real estate agents in marketing their listings, transaction management, website maintenance, social media, business systems, business operations, procedures, etc. Lead management. They help in setting up all these systems and the programs that an agent has. So you might think about CRMs. That's a big thing in your business as an agent is you have to have a very organized CRM in order to be successful. Period. I know people are going to come at me and say, I don't have an organized system and I'm successful. Think about how more successful you could be if you had an organized CRM system. So, looking at all of that, those are the experience that you need to look at when you're looking to hire a real estate virtual assistant. It's a great thing to have in your business because one, you're not paying them a salary. Number two, you're not paying for office space or computer equipment or anything. And this was a big thing, a few years ago. May not be that big of a thing now that you don't have to rent office space because you may not even have an office. You may work from home. But the goal of this is what I hope you take away is that a real estate virtual assistant can be your powerhouse if they know how to work with you. If you are out there hiring people that you have to train and you're paying them to learn how to work in your business, that's not good. You should not be doing that. I have been doing this for going on 24 years, and I have never charged a client to learn anything. If that client comes to me and says, do you know how to do ABC? And I've never done it, I will tell them, you know what? I've never done that, but I'm willing to look into it and see if I can. And you're not going to be charged for it because if I can figure it out to work for you, then that's another service I can offer other agents. That is how you find a really good real estate virtual assistant. And then you talk about, how many hours do they week and how do I do that? So normal virtual assistants in America, in the USA, I would say work Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Now there are exceptions. I know real estate is a 24-hour-a-day job. You do work weekends. And, it's kind of like we always tell our clients, we work normal business hours, but if you should need us, you're welcome to reach out to us in the evenings and on a weekend. We may not respond right away because now we're in our personal time, but we will acknowledge it and say, hey, I'll take care of that the next day. Because really you don't have an emergency in the evening or maybe not even on the weekend because title's not open. Inspectors, they're not out there. The mortgage companies are not open. So anything that you feel is an emergency after hours or on a weekend, you do need to tell your virtual assistant, but you need to understand that there's nothing they can really do until opening of business the following business day. So just kind of think about that because that has, over the years, I've seen agents that did expect it and just want you to know that when you're interviewing or looking into adding a real estate virtual assistant, these are some of the things that you need to be aware of. You also, there are some challenges in working virtually. Of course, I'm not going to be in your office. I may never meet you in person. I have clients that I've had over 20 years and I've literally never met them in person. But it doesn't really matter. We still have great relationship. We work great together. We've learned about our personal lives. I mean, some of my agents have seen, me go through, some really hard times with my family and some really wonderful times of having grandchildren, marrying my children, getting my children married. So they have seen my whole family grow up and have their own families. And so that's really cool, to me, because these are people that I truly care about. Even though I've never seen them face to face, we talk, we have conversations. I know things about their families. They've included me on things, of marriages and babies and all kinds of stuff, vacations and everything. So, there's a challenge in not knowing that person face to face, but don't let that hold you back. Because if they're a good real estate virtual assistant and they've got the experience and they've got the hours in and they've got the proof that they've done this before, then y'all could have a great working relationship. But a couple of things that could be a challenge is one is, which I've already mentioned, is office hours. If you're wanting somebody at 8 o'clock at night, you may not get a response until the next morning. Okay. The other challenges are anything physical that needs to be done in your office. Like if you need somebody to go put out signs, We're not able to do that, obviously. So, but we have solutions to those problems. And so if there is a problem that you see, then you need to bring it up and let that person explain how that would be handled. We cover that all the time. Not as much anymore because pretty much everybody kind of understands what that means as a real estate virtual assistant. I'd have multiple clients instead of just one. So I'm not showing up at your office from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, and working just for you. Or I'm not that office person that's coming into the office and working for everybody in the brokerage. I'm working for you and helping you achieve your needs, but I also may have other clients. And, that doesn't really matter to you because as long as your work is getting done, that's all that matters. And so that's where, after probably 5 years I was in business, I was so overwhelmed with clients that I was seeing that I wasn't being able to give myself to them at 100%. So I had to take a step back, kind of regroup, got it in my head that, I am one of those people that nobody can do it better than me, but I had to learn that, there's people that can do it better than me as long as I teach them the right way to do it. So that's when I brought in my first team member. And she and I worked side by side for about 3 or 4 years. Then I brought in my second, and then it kind of built from there. Now I have 8 team members, and we all have our own clients, and we all do different things within the business so that we can focus on what that client needs, because not every client needs everything. So what I would recommend to you is that if you are looking to hire a real estate virtual assistant, or it's just a thought, kind of write down, what do you think she could do for you? And then write down the pros and the cons of it. Because agents, they're kind of territorial, and they are kind of the mindset as me that, well, nobody can do it better than me. And then the other part of it is, and by the time I show somebody how to do it, I could have already done it. So you need to take those two things out of your head, because if you do have to show somebody how to do something, then guess what? They should get it the first time and move forward. That's just the way it is. That would be the way it is if you had an on-site person as well. Your goal is to teach them how to do it the way you want it done, and then let them go with it. And then the next time you need it done, they already know how. So you're saving time there. So keep that in mind when you're looking about, hiring or even the thought of it. Now, the other thing that we kind of look at is, there's a trend. So I'm going to kind of talk to you about this because this is, to me, a very interesting piece of working virtually for real estate agents, because that's all I work with. If you are outside of real estate, I don't work with you. I wouldn't know where to begin, but I'm going to refer you to somebody that I know in that industry that can help you. So my niche is real estate, mortgage brokers. Those are the kind of the two things that I really am good at. I worked in the mortgage industry for about 6 years, and then I moved over to real estate. Was going to get my license, went through college, then I went to real estate school, got my license, and then I found out I was expecting our first child, and I was just not in the mindset of growing a business while I was having a baby. And so that's how my career shifted to being a consultant instead of an agent. So that kind of, and I think I was a lot happier doing it that way. So I feel like that, God was kind of pointing me in the direction that he felt that I would be the happiest in. And I do love what I do to this day. Even after 24 years, I still love what I do. I get frustrated, but at the same time, who doesn't? If you can't be happy 100% of the time, and things just don't go 100% all the time. So, what I think we'll do now is kind of talk about, the qualities and the skills that can help you find a real estate virtual assistant that can be very effective. So let's just kind of leave it there. I have a whole lot more I want to explain to you, but this was just kind of an introduction of, what you can look for, where I come from, my little story of how I got to where I am. And, hopefully the next series will answer more questions. But if you have any questions now, go ahead and put them in the comments. You can email them to me. You can private message me. Anything that you need. If you have any questions about working with real estate virtual assistants, just let me know. Okay? And we will talk to you next week about series 2. Have a good one. Bye.